Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scouts. Today it's all about Sky Sports Fantasy Football with £50,000 up for grabs for the winner. Will we win? More specifically, it is about the overhaul and see how it got on. So we overhauled last week, everyone did. And I think for a lot of teams I've been seeing on social media, looks to be quite a success. But I suppose the question is, how do we carry that success forward? My name is Joe and joining me is Luke. Luke, how are you?
I'm all good. I'm recovering after going bravely without Bruno Fernandes, thinking by half-time I've made a good decision here, and then he showed me exactly why he should probably be in my team.
Yeah.
It goes mad, as usual.
Well, that's it. I mean, there was a lot of heavy scoring this week by lots of managers. I've seen a few hundred, I got 125.
Yeah, nice.
And that still wasn't even, I saw some 140s floating around as well. So doing well, but yeah, I got Fernandes in because it was the De Bruyne injury, and that was the key story of the week. We got it confirmed he was out. What do you do? My A team, I just did this most boring, sensible thing. I might want KDB again. Let's get Fernandes in. I'll keep that money in the bank in case I want to move that shift that money back. And Fernandes is a great placeholder, and I may end up keeping him. I'm starting to think what I might do with transfers further down the line is quite happily use 2, maybe 3 transfers to address Man City when their fixtures get better, and then look for some 2-for-1s and that kind of thing. But at the moment, we'll talk about it more, but I don't really want to make many transfers at the moment. I'm quite happy.
No,
with my lot. So, but yeah, you've got quite a bit of money in the bank, haven't you, from your KDB out?
News? Yeah. I've got 4.5 million in the bank, which I'm going to use for Man City, like you. I think I'm trying to work out who to get from them as ever is always the eternal question with Man City. I think, apart from Kevin De Bruyne when he's fit. But yeah, I mean, this week if you had Bruno Fernandes captain Saturday, which many people will have done, or even Salah was obviously a good backup, and then you went to Kane, which I think most of us did, or Son, you've done very well there. And then on the final Monday night, many people will have captained a Wolves player, be that Jimenez or Patricio probably, or even if they went Dallas or Ayling, they probably got some bonus points. So it's always these weeks where the most popular captain hits every single day that you end up with a ridiculously high average.
That was it.
Fair play.
That was good. Before we come on to our teams in detail and what we're going to be doing, I just want to have a look at some of those bonus stars of the week. Man of the match, interesting, Kilman at Wolves. Well done those that have got him in, but will he start? I've actually put a thing up on social media just now because I'm tempted to get him in another format, FPL, and just to see, is it going to carry on? So jury's a bit out, but he could end up being quite a tidy little cheap enabler.
5.3 million.
5.3 million indeed. Other man of the matches, or men of the matches, I should say, Ivanovic rolling back the years for Wolves, for West Brom, sorry. Grealish, Fernandes, as you were really, you'd expect them to. Burge, Thiago for Liverpool, Kane, Sterling, who's being overlooked at the moment in Sky, Mbappe and Werner. And then looking at the passes, tier 2, I mean, I haven't listed all the tier 1 bonus stars out, but passing tier 2 is Diaz and Man City. So he is one that you were tipping a couple of weeks ago. I'm tempted, I must admit. Dunk, who is obviously suspended now, Bernardo Silva, Rodri, Kearney, and Thiago for Liverpool. So yeah, Thiago really is the bonus. He's the Harry Arter of the North again. Saves tier 2, usual suspects. Darlow, who we heavily tipped, Martinez, Pickford somehow, Pope, Ramsdale and Ariello. And tackles tier 2, Dallas again. Now he was my captain on Monday, and he got his 5 points in a defeat. Romeo, Basham, Odegaard, Townsend, Sissoko, Fabinho, Moutinho, Perez. There's a lot of tackle bonuses, a lot of tough tackling going on. Shots tier 2. Well, Kane you would expect. Barnes we know about, he likes to shoot. Calvert-Lewin. Rashford's interesting because sometimes he can sort of go missing a bit in a game, not shoot, more passing, and definitely got his shooting boots on. And Fernandes as well, showing the breadth of points you can get from Fernandes with shooting, from passing, from he's got everything. In fact, I think he did get everything this week. Not quite.
He was. It was almost a Kevin De Bruyne list.
Almost.
It's. I mean, the Newcastle game. I think we called it last week. It's like, that game. As soon as you know that Bruno's in a chance for passing, he's always in the frame for everything else. Maybe not tackles. That can come and go with a bit of luck, right? But and when passing's pretty much assured because they're going to dominate the game in some way, then he becomes a great captain because he doesn't always get that. Obviously, playing as a number 10, you don't always get the passes. But against Newcastle, it was pretty obvious. So throw in a penalty or two, or even a miss, and he still gets a ridiculous score. Yeah, he's mental.
I mean, all the names I've reeled off there, who are getting the bonus. Who for them do you think is going to carry that on? Who is worth investing in, or if you've got worth keeping? I guess I would pull out Dallas immediately there, Martinez and Darlow as well. And Diaz, and of course Thiago at Liverpool. But who else do you think is worth investment in?
Yeah, I mean, you've touched on. I mean, Darlow, they lost 4-1, and he's still got 7 points. He's currently got 5.13, I think it is, or 5.34, something like that, saves per game. So he's getting tier 2 saves every single game. So I still think he's a very good shout. I mean, if he's getting that many points in a 4-1 loss, when they do jam a win with a clean sheet, he's going to be getting the man of the match and the clean sheet on top of his normal saves, you would have thought. So, yeah, it's just obviously that Dubravka sort of new, when he gets back from his injury looming, but I still really like him. I certainly wouldn't use a transfer on a goalkeeper now, though, so if you went with him, fair play.
Yeah.
For me, Diaz is the standout. Yeah. I mean, it's looking very much like he's going to be Laporte, the new Laporte or the new Otamendi, whoever you want to compare him to. And again, he was on 80-something passes this week. I mean, that's going to be over 70 every single game. I can't really see it not. I think the only game was actually his first one where he didn't get it was against Leeds, where it was just a bit of a freak game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it every game from now on. And if Man City can just be a little bit more solid. I mean, they are the best defence over the last 2 years, I think, clean sheet-wise. So 9.1 is just a great, great price.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't have him in the end. I was going with him, if you remember, in my team, and then I decided against it. Just wanted to see before jumping in, and I think I've probably already seen enough. So those I think there's questions coming up later, people with Virgil van Dijk in their team. For me, that's the most obvious move.
Not to Robertson, though.
Well, I wouldn't argue against that at all. He's also another one. I just think, considering the difference in price there...
Yeah.
And the fact that Diaz is just basically assured bonus passing, I probably just favour Diaz a little bit.
I was just looking at the fixtures. So Saturday 28th of November, so it's game week 12 in Sky, Man City at home to Burnley, and that starts a much better run for Man City. We don't know yet where that's going to fall, whether Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Friday even, we don't know. But, I would imagine it's likely to be the Saturday or the Sunday. But that looks like a good time to start thinking, to plan for now and think, well, how are you going to get some Man City players in? And as you said, that could be an option for me with Robertson.
The reason why I really like Diaz is at the moment, I mean, Kevin De Bruyne's the guy we fall back on, and we don't really know what's going on with him. So a lot of people won't even have a Man City player in the team right now. So, I mean, Aguero's on his way back, so he's a shout. But Diaz is just going to be that one where, hopefully, if he is going to be playing every game, which we hope he is, he's just that guy you can fall back on. The team sheets, if you're not sure of a team sheet, there's a knock, there's a niggle, there's a chance of rotation. Diaz is there to be your Van Dijk, essentially. So I do really, really like him. Thiago is just one I want to touch on as well. I mean, we always knew he was going to get passing bonus in every game he plays. He's going to get the odd tackle as well. But I think because he's a little bit more expensive as some of the other ones who can do it, people sort of steering away. But he got man of the match in this game. And I can see virtually every tight game that they have, Thiago is going to be in the frame for man of the match because he just dominates the play.
Yeah.
He's such an obvious candidate. So he could actually be worth the money, I think.
Yeah, so for those that maybe are looking to hop off investment terms, they've got Salah, Mane. I mean, I would not persuade anyone to get rid of them yet, but when Liverpool's fixtures stiffen a bit and you're just looking for someone who's going to tick over nicely with the points, and you don't want to captain a Liverpool player, perhaps, and you don't want to invest so much in Salah, moving down, that's a good option. That's a potential option. there. Let's have a look at your team, see how you got on. So this was what you overhauled into. And you got Guita, Chilwell, Lamptey, Dallas, Antonio, who is flagged at the moment, so listen out for team news on that. Barnes, Grealish, Rodriguez, Kane, Salah, Jimenez. So yeah, nice tidy bunch there. Must have hit around 100 or so, or
yeah, I think it was bang on 100 actually.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a lot of the sort of the options I've gone for are a little bit different, and the alternative option that's popular did well. So this week my team didn't do that well compared to the sort of template. For example, I had Guita instead of Patricio or Martinez, and both Patricio and Martinez obviously did very well. Guita conceded a goal in like the 94th minute or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So that was infuriating.
I mean, he was lucky. It was 19 shots Brian had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could have been a monster.
Well, this is why. I mean, he ended up getting 1 point, right? But when you have 19 shots, you're expecting either goalkeeper saves or a clean sheet in the end because he gets targeted.
Brian couldn't hit the target.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that was a little bit unlucky. I still like having Guita. I mean, Martinez was the obvious pick.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I know he's the obvious pick. It's just I like Guita for the Friday night captains that might be coming up. And obviously had Grealish as my Villa cover, which he ended up getting man of the match. So I was happy to have him as my captain there.
Yeah.
Chilwell, I'm really happy with. He actually got passes again.
Yeah, 4 points.
So, yeah, exactly. So despite conceding 3 goals, getting a yellow card, he still ends up with some points because you obviously get -2 for goals conceded and -1 for a yellow card. So he still got as an assist and passes tier 1. So to me, he's another one of those guys who just got a whole list of options that you can get points, and even if they get smashed, he's still coming out with them. So I'm really happy with him.
In fact, looking at your team there, virtually all, so yeah, about 8 of your players, 7 or 8 of your players, all got returns of some varying degrees. I mean, obviously Kane right up there with 42. Down to say Chilwell with 4 points, and Grealish as well, getting 5 points.
Yeah, they all chipped in. I just didn't get the captains really. Lamptey was the one we said might not get the points, and he's more of the filler. I ended up going with him in the end. I'm still not chuffed about it, but I still feel like Brighton are just so unlucky every game, and eventually the points are going to come there, I think. And yeah, I was pretty happy. I mean, I know with these midfielders like Barnes, who only got 2 points, that's what they can do. They won't get points every week. He sort of relies on his shots on target, which he didn't happen in that game. But I'm expecting 2-2, 18, 2-2, 15. You know, and the same for James Rodriguez.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's nothing to complain about there. So overall, pretty happy with my team. Obviously, the captains worked out fairly well. Just missing Bruno and Patricio or Martinez was the sort of difference between the main guys. But obviously, we're 1 week in, and I've got 4.5 million in the bank. So the long-term plan is to swap the Jimenez and Grealish positions. Can basically be anyone in the game. So Kevin De Bruyne will be Grealish eventually. Yeah. And Jimenez can go right up to Aguero. So that's why I've got these enablers in, so I can kind of rotate those spots.
Okay. Yeah, no, well, yeah, looking good though. I mean, as I said, even if you go for a slightly more different team, there's still, 100-point week in there. So yeah, my team a little bit more template because, I mean, I had the team all set. I said last week I had my heart set on Pulisic. Unfortunately, he was playing on the right, not as effective. I'm hoping he's back on the left against Manchester United. But yeah, I've got Patricio, Robertson, Dallas, White, Antonio, Grealish, Pulisic, Fernandes, Kane, Calvert-Lewin, and Salah. So I went for Calvert-Lewin over Rodriguez anyway. And then it was a simple move. De Bruyne injury. I just swapped to Fernandes and kept the 0.7, I think it is 0.6, 0.7, and that's just sitting there. So either what I'll do is move Fernandes to KDB at some point, or look to make 2 transfers down the line, see if I can take advantage of a particular fixture situation. But at the moment, if Antonio's fine, I'm going to keep going. It was only Antonio and Pulisic who didn't get me some kind of return, so I'm very happy with that. I captained Kane. I captained Salah, not Fernandes, but that's fine. It's just 8 points in that if you own both. And Captain Dallas there, it's got 10 points. I was quite happy with that. And well, we're going to come on to the fixtures this week there, but you can see I've got the captaincy on Calvert-Lewin there. So I'll just put these fixtures up. And so we'll just ask you what your captaincy thoughts are. So we're lucky this week. We've got 4 captains to choose from. We've got Friday and Monday, as well as the Saturday, Sunday. So let's start with the Friday. Villa against Leeds. Grealish, I imagine.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? He was fantastic again. I know last week he didn't. I don't think he actually had hardly any shots, maybe even 0.
No.
But he was just incredible and obviously picked up that man of the match. So again, I would have thought a Leeds game would be quite frantic and therefore it might suit him.
Yeah.
Because Leeds seem to have that frantic style.
Also, Leeds have got some injury problems.
Yeah.
So
Phillips.
So yeah, with Phillips out, I can't remember. Was it you who was telling me, or someone was saying that basically with him out, that's the space that Grealish is going to be attacking at. So if he's out and there's their B team version of him in there. That should help Grealish on paper, you would imagine.
Hope so. I mean, again, if you don't have any Villa, I mean, I would have thought you'll have Martinez or someone like that who's still a very good shout. Then you've obviously got the Leeds guys to fall on. Ayling and Dallas will probably get points again.
If there's a clean sheet, Dallas will be looking at 11 points or so, 12 points maybe. But otherwise, booking your 5 points. That's your Dallas.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Ayling's the right back. Is that correct?
Oh, I can never remember which way it is.
I'm pretty sure Ayling.
Even
is
when
the
I
right
watch
back.
the games, I can still never remember. I'm like those that comedian with left and right. I get muddled up.
I'm pretty sure he is, and if he is, then he'll be up against Grealish, who dribbles with the ball. So I'd be stunned if Ayling doesn't get tackles in some way, shape, or form. He'll probably get dribbled past as well, but he'll also get a lot of tackles.
Yeah. So Grealish for me that day, Saturday. West Ham against City, Fulham against Crystal Palace, Manchester United against Chelsea. Liverpool against Sheffield United. I quite like the look of those. But looking at that, it's got to be. I mean,
Salah.
Well, yeah, Salah, but then Fernandes is tempting as well.
Yeah. I mean, Chelsea can't defend, can they?
It's one of those two. For me. But yeah, I'll probably go with the crowd. I don't want to. I'm about 5k in the rankings at the moment. And I want to I don't want to go too drastically the wrong way. So yeah, I'm probably going to do Salah. But Fernandes, I think if owners of him would be tempting, considering the breadth of points he can get.
Definitely. For me though, Chelsea, I mean, we've seen by their passing numbers, the fact that Chilwell's hitting tier 2, I think they will hold the ball pretty well here. And as a result, Bruno Fernandes might struggle for passing. And therefore, I don't really like him as captain in this game. But obviously, he can get points, like you say, penalties, shots, any other way. But I just like to have that fallback on that if it fails, I'm still going to get 4 points. And with Salah at home to Sheffield United, I would have thought even if he fails, he's still going to get shots on target. Yeah. I would have thought. So I think he's pretty safe. The West Ham Man City game is also obviously a teaser, but West Ham have been pretty solid. So I'm considering they're away and we don't know whether they have De Bruyne. Luckily, we get to see their team sheet. Yeah. But I mean, that could be a 10-pointer for Diaz, especially if Antonio's out. They might struggle to score.
If anyone does have Sterling, that's a captaincy shout as well. He's great away, and I think he got a hat-trick last time in this fixture last season. I think it was on the opening day. Obviously, a slightly different West Ham outfit these days, benefiting from David Moyes coaching them from Zoom for most of the campaign.
Oh no, he's back now though.
Oh, he's back, and hence the 3 goals.
Well, they didn't fail. They came back, to be fair.
They did come back though, so yeah. On the Sunday, Southampton against Everton, Wolves against Newcastle, Arsenal against Leicester. For me, I've got Calvert-Lewin. He's going to get the captaincy that day. Obviously, those like you with Jimenez, you've got a choice to make there because Jimenez against Newcastle could be lucrative. I guess he is your captain, isn't he, that day, I presume? But Rodriguez, maybe?
Probably. I mean, Newcastle's, you would have thought, they're just terrible. It's just whether Wolves can sort of can actually do anything about it. Because at the moment, obviously, we saw versus Fulham, they only managed 1 goal. You just worry as to whether they'll actually get a decent amount of goals in that game. I suppose with Southampton, it's like, are we going to get this high line Southampton? Because if we are, I want it on an Everton player because you just never know what's going to happen there. I mean, I guess they will play quite a high line, and therefore the Calvert-Lewin and James Rodriguez suddenly look more enticing. I mean, who's got the higher ceiling? I would suggest it's probably an Everton player. Yeah. The Wolves players don't seem to have these high ceilings, which is so strange because on paper that's just a fantastic fixture. Yeah, I mean, and we're not even talking about Aubameyang, are we? He just doesn't exist anymore at the moment.
No. I mean, the thing, because in FPL, he was moved back to being a midfielder, and everyone thought, well, great, a striker's a midfielder, but he's actually performing like a midfielder. He is a midfielder. For me, this day it's Everton really, because the only other coverage I have is Patricio for Wolves. As much as I think they'll keep a clean sheet, I can't look past Calvert-Lewin or Rodriguez, and I think both of those two, Rodriguez in particular, could be quite popular options.
Yeah, I think you reach for the stars there rather than go for a clean sheet and go for an Everton player.
Yeah. I was just going to say on the Monday. Well, I know which team it's going to be that we're going to put our captaincy on. Brighton against West Brom. Obviously, everyone's going to want a captain Lamptey. Burnley against Tottenham. So Harry Kane, definitely for me. If you've got Son, great option. I mean, that's a no-brainer captaincy day, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, Burnley, you'd imagine, will sit very, very deep and try and frustrate Spurs. But the way they're playing at the moment, it still looks like Spurs will end up winning, and those guys will win the points. They look like they're going to get points every time they touch the ball, don't they? So, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it ends up being Trossard is the best pick on that day or something like that. But Kane's going to be everyone's captain, and you want to, especially at these early stages, you want to stick with the crowd as well a little bit. So it's Kane all day. Yeah,
definitely. Same for me. We've got some community questions, and here's something I'd quite like the answer to as well, actually, because I'm not planning any moves. I've got my eye on Man City's fixture turn. Because I'm without them at the moment. But in the meantime, are there any immediate 2-for-1s, which is where you can hop on and off players, who are playing, say, for early in the week and then on to later, so you get effectively two games for one. Are there any of those coming up that you spotted?
Well, at the moment, we've obviously only got this game week and next game week's fixtures, so we can't look beyond that. So literally just looking at this week, the obvious one is to move from a Villa player, probably Grealish, as most people will have, and want to use swaps in that area rather than your goalkeeper or your consort or whoever you've got back there. So obviously Friday night they play against Leeds. You could captain Grealish there. And then after that, Villa don't actually play again until next game week on the Sunday. So there's a whole host of teams that play twice before they play again. So obviously you could get Grealish back, or you could, if you decide you don't want him anymore, then obviously you can just go for another player who can get 2 games. But the standout is probably Wolves as a result, because they're obviously home to Newcastle on Sunday, which is a tricky captain day that we've just mentioned. You know, you probably can put it on an Everton player, but Jimenez at home to Newcastle is still a good option. And then you go into the next game week where it's a Friday night game, Wolves at home to Crystal Palace. So if you swap from Grealish to Jimenez, then, which was my original plan, I've actually got both in my team now, and that was going to be my original plan until Kevin De Bruyne injury. I just stuck him in straight away. You then obviously get Jimenez as a captain at home to Palace as well. You can then move off afterwards if you want to. So I think that's a pretty good option. And obviously the week after that, Wolves are away to Leicester. It's not the worst game in the world, so you can keep him. And I suppose it depends how he performs. If Wolves suddenly click and start scoring, you might want to keep hold of him.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at Jimenez. He's sort of a bit of a wait and see for me in Sky, but I have got my eye on him because he doesn't seem explosive. But we've seen against Leeds, I thought it was going to be 0-0, and then eventually got one of those shots. I think he had 2 really good chances I saw, and he got that second one away. All it takes is another one of those, and suddenly you've got 2 goals from him, man of the match, shooting bonus, and it can really rack up to a nice 30-point return if you captain him.
So I don't think anyone doubts the Wolves. I mean, they're starting to get back to how they were. Not quite, but I mean, for me, it's Traore. I mean, as soon as Traore starts actually playing, I don't really know what's going on there. You suddenly think their attacks just got so many more angles and basically a worry. The other team every team's terrified of Traore. I don't understand why he's not being played, because it just causes a distraction if nothing else, because they have to put 1 or 2 people on him all the time, try and stop him. So it takes players away, and we've already seen that Traore can set Jimenez up so well. So my real hope is that Traore comes back into the team and suddenly Wolves look like they can score a lot of goals again. At the moment, for whatever reason, it's not happening. I wish a Wolves fan can help me out there, because I have no idea why he's not playing.
No, I know. There are, so basically Podence, Neto, Traore. You sort of got 3 players, two places. I
mean, Podence and Neto are very tidy. They look very good players. They probably keep the ball more, but at the end of the day, they just don't have the same level of threat as Traore.
Yeah, maybe. At the moment, he's a bit of a no-go at the moment, and that does hinder Jimenez possibly. But let's see. Wait and see for me. I've got a couple more questions, particularly about the Liverpool defence. So Van Dijk is out, long-term injury. If if you've been living in a cave, that's the situation. So if you own him, you're going to want to move him on. FPL Oakwall asks, straight swap to Robertson, or is it worth downgrading, upgrading later? And then James Hyde asks, what are your thoughts on the knock-on effect of Van Dijk's injury to other Liverpool defenders? So, for example, if you've got Trent and Robertson, or instead, or indeed as well as Van Dijk. So, I mean, you've already given your answer to this, really. The Man City defender, get in early for a bit of Man City coverage, and he is the new Laporte.
I think so. I think that price is just too good. I think they've heavily undervalued him there. Yeah. And as a result, you could be looking at a player who can get close to Van Dijk's numbers from last season. Yeah. If he's playing all the games. That's just the doubt. Whether we haven't seen a game yet where he might get rotated. When that happens, I might be a bit terrified. But as we said before, Otamendi and Laporte played like virtually every game as like their main centre back, and it looks like Laporte is just so injury prone these days that he can't be that guy anymore. So I think get on DS early. And in response to Van Dijk's injury affecting the other lads, I mean, it's hard to imagine a world where it wouldn't affect them because he's just so good. But the problem, or I'd rather say the issue, is Liverpool weren't really keeping clean sheets that often anyway.
No, I know. I haven't got Robertson for clean sheets. I've got him because he's a winger.
Yeah, exactly. So I would be surprised if it had that much of an effect on Robertson and Trent's output. I still think they're going to be bombing forward no matter what. Yeah. The whole style, the whole way they play. I mean, they'll try and get Matip if he's fit, or whoever to come in at centre-back. Could even be Fabinho. And they're like Rolls Royces back there. They don't really have much to do, apart from make the odd mistake again, which will probably still continue to happen.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Just get them for the attacking returns and the bonus.
And the last question, FPL Glasto, is just asking about Antonio injury. Really, he has historically been injury prone, so it's something we need to keep an eye on team news. And if he is out, and it's long term, or at least mid term, I would probably look towards, if you can afford it, to move up to someone like Grealish, as you were mentioning. Grealish, is a good captaincy option coming up, but also Rodriguez if you can. Barnes is still going to chip away with those shooting, but I'm a bit hesitant to recommend anyone below. I don't know if there was any sort of cheaper midfielders that you'd seen.
I mean, the only real one's Højbjerg, I guess, that you could go to just to clock up some points. But we have to wait for news on how long he's injured for, because even if it's only 1 week, I'm not bothered, leaving him in.
Yeah, I'll go with 10 players if it's 1 week. Because these transfers are so precious, and he's someone. Gameweek 9, I think, is in Sky. That's when West Ham's fixtures turn, and they turn long term as well. So Antonio should be a staple, captaincy option even when we see the fixtures. Definitely a must for me there. Thanks so much for joining me, Luke. It's good to get your views there, and obviously, really interesting. I think that for those that want to use a transfer, the Grealish to Jimenez, and you perhaps haven't got any Wolves coverage, or you don't fancy captaining Patricio or an Everton player, that's quite potentially a good move, and certainly the only 2 for 1 we can really recommend at the moment. Given we don't know, what's going to happen with the TV schedule, whether the pay-per-view is going to continue, anything like that. We don't know. But for now, Luke, thanks so much for joining me, and good luck with your game week in Sky.
Good luck to you, Joe. See you on the next one.